The job they've done is, in a fairly short period of time, is just outstanding, and they're great people.
Vladimir Putin, how do you think you can get those talks on track?
We have to meet. He and I will meet. I think we'll solve it, or maybe not, but at least we'll know. And if we don't solve it, it'll be very interesting.
And then did Austin Tice come up when you talked?
They're not in good shape, as you know.
The first direct peace talks between Russia and Ukraine in more than 3 years lasted well under 2 hours in Turkey, with no apparent sign of progress towards peace between the sides. Both are under pressure from US President Donald Trump to end Europe's deadliest conflict since World War II. The talks were held at a palace in Istanbul. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, speaking from Albania, told European leaders Russia must agree to a full ceasefire.
And if the Russian representatives in Istanbul today cannot even agree to that, to ceasefire, to this clearly necessary first step, then it will be 100% clear that Putin continues to undermine diplomacy.
The chasm between the two was quickly apparent, according to a Ukrainian source who told Reuters Russia's demands were detached from reality. They included ultimatums for Ukraine to withdraw from parts of its own territory in order to obtain a ceasefire, the source said. No major breakthrough was expected today, but the pair have agreed to exchange 1,000 prisoners of war each in the coming days, one of the largest such swaps since the beginning of the conflict. Zelensky said after he and European leaders spoke by phone with Trump that Ukraine is ready to take the fastest possible steps for peace. Expectations were dented further on Thursday when Trump, winding up a Middle East tour, said there would be no movement without a meeting between himself and Russia's President Vladimir Putin. Putin proposed the direct talks in Turkey, but spurned a challenge from Zelensky to meet him there in person. He instead sent a team of mid-level officials. The head of Russia's delegation, Vladimir Medinsky, said Moscow was satisfied with the results and was ready to keep talking to Kyiv. He said both sides would present in detail a vision of a possible future ceasefire. There was no immediate announcement on whether talks might resume or when.
So we just had a meeting with President Zelensky and then a phone call with President Trump to discuss the developments in the negotiations today. And the Russian position is clearly unacceptable and not for the first time. And so as a result of that meeting with President Zelensky and the discussion with President Trump, we are now closely aligning and coordinating our responses and will continue to do so.
Nous avons ensemble à l'instant eu une discussion avec le président Trump pour d'abord tous considérer qu'il était inacceptable pour une deuxième fois que la Russie, le président Poutine, ne réponde pas aux demandes qui ont été faites par les Américains, soutenus par l'Ukraine et les Européens. Pas de cessez-le-feu et pas de rendez-vous à un niveau décisionnel et pas de réponse sur le cessez-le-feu. Et donc dans ce contexte, nous allons continuer de nous coordonner avec nos partenaires européens, la coalition des volontaires et les États-Unis. Il y aura dans les prochaines heures des nouveaux contacts et des retours et nous apporterons les réponses requises.
Informacja była jednoznaczna. Strona rosyjska nie wykazała dobrej woli. Strona rosyjska nie zamierzała negocjować w obecności strony amerykańskiej. Strona rosyjska stawiała znowu warunki absolutnie nie do przyjęcia, nie tylko przez Ukrainę, ale także przez nas wszystkich. Będziemy dalej pracowali razem. Zadanie główne, aby utrzymać pełną jedność zarówno partnerów europejskich i amerykańskich wokół sprawy ukraińskiej. To zadanie wciąż pozostaje aktualne. Nie ukrywamy, że stanowisko rosyjskie trudno nazwać w jakikolwiek sposób konstruktywnym. Czekają nas prawdopodobnie ciągle bardzo trudne dni.
And we are ready to do more to bring Putin to the negotiation table. Many of the speakers mentioned it. This war has to end. You said it, Georgia. You said it, Keir. Volodymyr has described with others the roller coaster of the last days. To be very clear again, we want peace. And so we are working on a next set of sanctions. Main elements of this package will be, for example, sanctions on Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2. Further listing of vessels in the shadow fleet and lower the oil price cap. And more sanctions on Russia's financial sector. Because we want peace, and it is time to seriously engage on that.
Well, I do think that they are a very hopeful sign, because the two sides coming into direct contact is an important development. And despite the statements by Zelensky and the European leaders that this is further proof that Putin is uninterested in peace, the heads of the two delegations came out with very measured statements. There was an exchange, the promise of an exchange of 1,000 prisoners on each side, of a further meeting, of a formal presentation of each side's vision for the end of the conflict. So all these seem like substantial steps. And I also think that it's a good sign that the process is beginning to progress in this more perhaps mechanistic, lower level format, that top leader meetings, big headlines are not very conducive to bridging the quite substantial gulf that still exists. But boring talks repeated several times in Istanbul away from the cameras might be able to lessen that distance somewhat.
Повернення полонених – це абсолютно добра ініціатива, і погоджуюся з тим, що такі речі вони абсолютно приємлені. Чи це може вплинути на загальні перемовини? Ну, думаю, що ні. Все-таки це процес тривалий, і війна, яка сьогодні відбувається, вона на виснаження. Думаю, що це такий в певній мірі якби відкуп за те, що він опинився в певній мірі не в зручному становищі, адже всі світові лідери, вони прийняли в цьому участь, так, і вся Європа була зацікавлена в тому і з нетерпінням чекала цієї зустрічі, натомість отримала, на мій погляд, такого ляпаса, так.